My name is Iris Nash and I'm 34 years old. People thought I would be at the back row at the party for my brother's promotion in Miami Beach at the Hilton Hotel. He's 29 years old, new boss for the business. He did it right there on stage, leaned in and said out loud into the mic so everyone could hear. Some folks are stupid and only good for factory work. Do the work. 80 people laugh. How my parents stepped do not delay with the silver tray paperwork, letting him run a $85 million resort in Hawaii and the start of a new SUV. Dad laughs. We're proud of you. Son, except for some people who only hurt the family. I don't move in my keep clothes until I meet someone I don't know and the gray suit fits into the seat next to. I then get a thick envelope pushed into he whispers. Time to show them who you really are. Use the space below to tell us where you are. Tell us where you are and what time it is. Let the story go on for a while. I get up every day at 5:30 in my one-bedroom apartment and start my old Honda made the 45-minute trip Civic to the Haya factory. Doesn't cough like it hasn't smoked in a while, but it gets me to work at 6. Put on steel-toed boots tight and spend the next 10 hours at my station stuck on a moving belt that never moved. A huge number of circuit boards move. Every shift. It's my job to find if they make a mistake before they go out, a whole group is called back. $45,000, it keeps the fridge full and the lights on, full of food leftovers. It smells like burnt coffee in the break room and microwave popcorn. And the LED lights up there hum like bees that are crazy. I eat my sandwich at noon. The chairs are always on their feet. I was taken and then put back in line by 4. My fingers hurt. My back hurts and I'm get ready for traffic on the way home, town. My brother gets up whenever he in his Bickle penthouse. He feels like it. Meets with the board around 9 being a coffee drinker and barking orders at. There are interns who make more in a month than I do. Doing $300,000 plus extra money, stock options, and whatever good things come with being His office has windows that go all the way to the ceiling and look out over Biscayne Bay. From floor-to-ceiling windows that let in light and show off Biscayne Bay, have their own gym on the top floor and AA valet who parks your car and sends. There are selfies with captions, from meetings on the roof. They were making deals, the family group chat is full of mom and dad with pictures from his newest magazine part. Some crazy fintech stuff that changes things if you don't know what it means. That sounds great. Better. His name is on every post. Hearts and fire emojis are all over the place. Name hasn't been in that chat in a while. Months. At night last year, when the shift was over, the methane alarm went off. A pipe had broken near the loading dock. Gas. Coming out quickly enough to turned the whole place into a bomb. I didn't think about it. I just ran into it, the shut-off valve for emergencies, and left it open down until the needle said 0. 47 everyone I worked with made it through that night alive. I had a lot of thank you letters for weeks. Notes written by hand have been in my mailbox for weeks from people I didn't know well. Some of them had small gifts and pictures of their kids like a $20 bill or home-baked cookies. Kept everyone in a shoebox under I didn't tell anyone at home about bed. They would say it was just doing your work. My Aunt Donna Nash lives in Still. Tampa learned about it. She is a nurse, works 2 shifts at the ER and still every Sunday to call. You did the last thing she said was that Iris did the right thing last week. Voice steady as always. Don't. They shouldn't make you feel bad about it. She laughed it off. But what she said hurt. Sent me a care package with bandages one time. There were protein bars and a note that said, "For the brave one who won't say it." I used the bars in extra time, but they never said a word. To your parents. They don't ask about my day anymore. The group chat turns on, with a sign that has a picture of Quinn on it. Quinn getting a deal. Quinn shook hands with people who spend money on things. Reed will remember what I say. They believe I'm fine making it or too busy to care how much louder their silence is now. I, with your thumbs up, move past the pictures. Lock the screen after putting your hand on the keyboard. I read the letters from the factory workers who were following the ink with my finger. You gave me, one guy said. Another Christmas with my daughter. Someone else told them, I owe you my life. These are simple words that mean a great deal more than any extra money. Quinn talks about, the machines and floor are making a lot of noise, supervision, radios that yell, and loud thank you. I put earplugs in my ears under my hard hat. But the shaking makes my bones ache. I know every warning sign off by heart, the walls, every exit, and every first help desk. After the event, new sensors were put in by management and given me a sign that says Safety Winner. I've attached it to the top of my station with bolts. So far, no one from home has seen it. No one asked to see it. A week ago, a thick ivory envelope got an official invite in the mail from Dad, and it has the family crest on it. Quinn was made CEO, so there was a party to celebrate, look at, family presence required. I was told I looked at it for an hour. Knowing what it was, I was only asked to be there as the joke, the cautionary tale next to when Quinn was in the news. I still marked the day on my calendar. She told her, go if you want to, but don't. I agreed and said, let them walk over you, even though she couldn't see. At 7 That night, my phone rang in the kitchen counter while I warmed up some leftover rice. The name Quinn came up. What the message said short, stay away from the party. It's not good. Friday night at the Hilton Miami Beach, there were 80 people in the ballroom, guests in custom suits and drinks clothes. Some chandeliers made of crystal give off a warm, light shine on tables, with linens on them, and there were servers with champagne, trays going around flutes. I got in through a back door, still have on my work pants and blouse. The stairs are not being watched. Dear Donna Nash, aunt who came from Tampa by car, I first saw and waved to her desk was close to the wall. She was wearing a simple navy dress and no jewelry except for hers, gave me a kiss and a wedding ring before we sat down. Quinn Nash walked on the stage like it was his with the mic in their hand, showing that a smile that was worked on. He began his speech about coming up with new ideas and being a leader, then they stopped to make a point. To be successful, he said, vision, and then he looked around, people until they got to me. Not it's in everyone, but some people are just stupid. Laughs, only good for factory work. Some of the guests felt it go through them, by clapping to show that they agreed. Right away, my face got hot. I didn't move and just stared at the ground. She slid her hand under the table and tightened their grip on my knee. Dad Walt Nash walked up to him and put his arm around him, on Quinn's shoulder. Then Gail Nash's mom came back with a velvet box and a large file. She opened the folder on the stage that shows pictures of a very long beachland with private villas and pools that never end. To celebrate, your new dad used a loud voice to say that he was CEO sound from the speakers. We're moving. Taking care of Hawaii's 85 million, thanks. There was cheering. Mom held the keys to the Audi, letting the light hit them. And this you can use beauty to drive it all in. Style. Quinn took the keys with a smile, held them wide and tall like a trophy. Mom then leaned over the mic. We're so, son, I'm proud of you. Not like some other people who make the family look bad. Read more, the cheers were louder this time. Sounds of whispers came from tables nearby, eyes darting my way. What did a woman in pearls whisper to her husband? Is that the sister then? The person who keeps machines running. He laughed. Donna's hold on my hand got stronger. I thought how heavy every look in the room was getting less big around me. Dad took one out, a sheet from the pocket of his jacket, a ready-made form with the family estate. The office letterhead is at the top of the letter. It reads short-term assets, like the resort now in the name of Quinn. It was pointed at me. Iris, come on up. Fill out this form of the right to inherit. Do everything in charge of your brother. The space grew quiet and everyone looked around. A sentence was in the middle of being said when people stopped. My legs felt heavy when I stood up, so I walked. How much space there is between tables. People left, some people were smiling, while others tried not to look at each other. Talk to. It was quieter when I walked on the carpet, but my heart was beating fast. In front of the crowd, Dad moved the paper forward. The release asked to give up any claim to things until the end of the probate process, which is making Quinn in charge right away. Quinn stood next to him with a smirk on his face and his arms crossed. Mom put on her necklace again and looked not at me. It was heavy in Dad's open hand. I got it. It was cold to touch the metal. There was no signature on the line, and the blame. People leaned forward in where they were sitting. One of the phones went off from the front row. Donna stood up in the middle of her. She got up from the chair and sat back down with her lips together. Hold on tight. I squeezed the pen harder, locks and keys. My hand shook as I write it down. It touched. There was no more ink on the paper, putting it all over my thumb. It was ink I only got it on my thumb when the side door behind the stage opened with a groan. Ted Rice, a man of 72 years, wore a charcoal suit with a loose tie when they went out, into the ballroom with an briefcase made of leather. Heads slowly turned, at first, then faster when they got smart saw a few faces flash. He went, having a goal in mind, ignoring the chatter, and stopped at the edge of the stage. My dad's face turned into a mask of a nuisance. Mom quickly grabbed her pearls and turned them around. They were nervous. Quinn put on weight. The Audi moved from one foot to the other. He still had the keys in his hands. He didn't know if he should hold it like a trophy, wished to hold. Ted blew his nose. There was a sharp sound that went through the sound of people talking is low. He said, "Sorry to bother you." Voice steady, but loud enough to be heard. The room without yelling. "Hi, my name is Ted. Rice used to be Eleanor Nash's lawyer." It was put down on a nearby table, a blank table, and clicked to open it with guests leaned in for the snaps, in their chairs. Their phones had been raised to record the waiver moment, now dropped a bit. But I'm not sure, when Donna let go of my arm. They looked at him with their mouths open a little. He took out a thick folder that had a notary stamp on it. Seal that was made 10 years ago. Today, Mrs. Nash got this paper signed in my name. Office the week before. She left hospital stay, Ted said, and held the paper high enough for the front rows to see the seal that was put on it. The first copy was sent to the family. As needed after her death, he said, stopped and looked at Dad. But it was broken down soon after the funeral blazed in the backyard fireplace. 2 people who worked in the house say that. They signed an affidavit. A lot of people in the crowd gasped. I could wave because Dad's jaw was so tight. "See the muscle twitch?" Mom said in a whisper. Something important to Quinn, who shook his head. Ted grabbed a tablet and shook his head really hard, the briefcase, and tapped the screen with worked on being efficient. A video began to play. The play was shown on the big screen. This is where Quinn's behind the podium. The banner for the sale was still up. It looked like Eleanor was sitting in her weak favorite chair by the window, but she had a quilt on her lap. "This is being watched by you," she said. It was clear, even though it was old and sick, that someone is trying to reach me while I'm not there. Iris has saved lives, not just numbers on a screen. She understands everything, no waits. The video ended. All of a sudden, the room stopped moving. There was silence. Donna jumped up next to attention. "Point at me!" she yelled, right in front of Dad. That's Mom's real will. You can't act like it's not there. Guards at the main entrance thought for a moment and asked Dad for help. He looked at Ted too much, though. He put out his hand to calm her down and then turned, back to the group with the folder open. The paper was shown to everyone. Pages with legal text and blue signatures dates are stamped in red ink. This is proof that the court got a copy of it the same day. Since the first one sends the full $65 million home to Iris Nash. Voice announced loud and clear in no uncertain terms because that time she saved 47 lives an accident at the factory last year. There are no waivers, no managers, and Quinn took a quick step forward. "This is fake," he yelled, with a red face, took his arm and dragged him back with a... When Mom pulled hard, her face turned pale. To stay steady, she grabbed the edge of the podium. Guests looked at each other with wide eyes. A few people looked at each other and took out their phones again, so they could record the chaos. A few investors' people in the front stood up and talked about, "Do your research." Ted kept reading the parts that were okay, things that they own, Like the resort in Hawaii trust funds can have accounts in other countries if someone pushed a threats to sign. Every word hit. I stood there like a hammer on glass. Stage, pen, still on top of the waiver made the water splash in the glass. My hand was shaking. The waiver on the stage looked silly, like a prop in a play whose script had just been changed. Ted and I looked at each other across the room. Elaine knew what you did and turned off the lights. It was Iris who read. The OSHA reports and letters from these workers. Was always yours, Ted. Didn't wait for the noise to end. He opened the camo, briefcase quickly, and took out a 3-inch thick stack of papers was brought, out tied with red string and thrown with a loud, heavy thud that shocked those who heard it. He said, "Let's talk about evidence." Voice soft but clear enough to be heard at the back of the room. The official page at the top 8 pages of an OSHA report on an incident, Iris's diagrams, statements from witnesses, and name with a red circle around it, proves that Iris stopped the leak of methane, closed the valve by hand under while holding it up. Ted said, "Pressure," so that people in the front rows could see the official seal. He moved on to the next part. 47 notes of thanks written by hand from the workers whose signatures she kept up to date. Some of them had pictures of his family in them. Lay them out on the surface, in plastic sleeves for all copies that have been notarized for after that. He gave the court some bank records. It's easy to read and the lines are clearly marked 2 million centonio. Ventilation to improve safety in the factory systems. Need more advanced sensors. Gifts that train people to work on. 3 ships. The money came from a donor. Iris is linked to a tax advice fund claims she didn't make on the paperwork anywhere open to the public. Finally, he raised a plaque from the case that is in a frame. Statewide, Iris won the award for safety at work. Nash was in Washington, D.C. in April 2006 for during a crisis. The U.S. was very brave. Government Office of Labor. The writing in gold shone in the chandelier's light. Ted looked at a thinner folder that said Quinn on it. It says Nash in big black letters. He put down 3 bright copies of LinkedIn posts. Quinn at a charity event in a black tie gallus, who is holding up big checks made out to hospitals for kids and giving help to people after a disaster. He was the paid main speaker at all of them. Ted spoke up flat. $50,000 sent straight to in 48 hours on his own account. The charities were shown on the attached bills. After paying fees for administration, I got nothing, and money to pay for trips. One email, Quinn tried to get more money in chain rates and said the money would be sent to, in his pitch deck, he wants to change lives. One more showed that he turned down a second audit ask for. She stood up and pulled a steady folds of paper from her bag hands. What did Iris borrow $5,000 from me? She said she would open the IOU, written by hand on plain notebook paper. Iris signed it and put the date at the bottom and a column of $50 bills. Each week is circled in blue ink. No money. 20 business fires by bank transfer. Make the factory budget public. Wouldn't cover after a meeting to cut costs. Meeting. She put it up high. She paid. Not a single penny from her pay. They missed one, even though it was extra time. Called off. Dad's face turned purple, and you could see his veins, his forehead. Mom put her hand over her throat. She could feel the pearls on her skin. Quinn's arms crossed, fists at his sides white. People moved around in their seats. There are now open films being made by some people and others, talking about board meetings and audits and possible court cases. Someone from the first row stood up and shouted, "Does the board know about these differences?" His partner agreed and began to type on a tablet. Things got safer, but they stopped when Ted raised his hand, stacked the papers neatly again. Everything here is marked and tabbed. It was filed with the probate court, he said. Did not stop. The part about force works right away when you ask it under pressure to sign, which we just witnessed. He showed the wavir, still on the podium and with a smudge of ink on it and everything. Quinn's voice blew up in front of everyone, getting broken. She works in a factory. The doors flew open. She doesn't deserve it. Again. Glenn Pike from the company, the chief financial officer, ran in with a face. He held an old, burned tablet to his chest, went straight for the stage, and almost fell out from under a chair leg that was first row. In an emergency, just a board vote, he made it through. He gasped and swiped the screen with a shaky finger. Clause of Force $18 million emergency fund was set up. Moves to Iris Nash. Effective right away. The screen showed the account numbers for wire confirmations in digital timestamps in green and bold 3 different signatures trustees. Dad rushed for the tablet with, "You can't do this, Glenn." Things of value were taken away. In all of the subsidiaries, it has frozen. He spoke more and more loudly, more and more chaos. Work done on the scene by someone from outside the company. There will be no access until the audit starts at dawn. Cleared up. Quinn's banner for her had jerked out of the background and was replaced by... There was a red banner that said, "Account suspended from the Hawaii is a great place to go on vacation. The contract for management has been broken." Title for audit rucks that have been taken back outside the right now, the valet area is full. Quinn yelled, running like crazy at Glenbull. The police stopped him right there. His arms were behind his back by 2 guards. Back while someone else called for help. Making false claims for costs that add up to more than Glenn. Read the tablet over and over again. Moving quickly through the text. The board voted unanimously. When you're fired for cause, you don't get paid extra. Mom fell down into She sat down in a chair and sobbed so hard into her hands, it was shaking, and Dad did nothing. The mouth moves back and forth like a fish, looking back and forth between the water and the screen, and his son was lying on the ground. She held me close in her arms, bringing me close enough that I could let go of the pen. I watched it land, move the podium and leave the waiver's last splatter of ink. "I no longer need this family," said with a steady voice for the first time all night long. That's all. After that, I stood in front of the new Safety, a place in Orlando to learn. It says, Nash Safety Foundation up front. Steel letters stand on top of wide glass doors that opened by themselves. Inside, 500 teachers were certified. There were only factory workers that week, using fire extinguishers in real life, putting dangerous situations through virtual reality headsets, and went over emergency plans in fake production lines. My group managed the program that was fully paid for by the in case of an emergency payout. No press, not a ribbon cutting or a meeting, just things that happen. Factories from Miami to Tampa put crews on shifts that changed every day. In the first quarter, rates dropped 28%. Reports from the state say that I bought a Coral Gables condo with 2 bedrooms that is quiet. The street is lined with royal pointiana trees. There is a mango tree in the yard. And you can see the ocean from the 2nd floor balcony. In the morning, started with a cup of black coffee on the porches, you read business magazines. At night, take long walks along the bay, where sailboats sailed under pink skies, the sky. I kept my job at the factory, talked to someone on the phone about making things safe, across the country, only going places they have to go. Quinn put things on shelves at a warehouse job, costs $15 an hour. And there are no early benefits, shifts that begin at 5 a.m., portable computers that can read barcodes, a lot of electronics on pallets and trucks. Did not look at the first people at work who talked about the gala behind his back. Every time he went by, there was a scandal. Gail Walton booked a 1-bedroom apartment in Kendall's room, had beige walls and broken tiles. The neighborhood pool in the kitchen that smelled like no more Bickle penthouse. They got rid of it to cover the rising cost of court fees. The hotel went to its creditors after the bank failed. They took over. There would be no more boardroom meetings. There will be no more private jets or galas. Every Sunday, she drove her car up from Tampa, a cord from a long time ago. We used it to make pasta basil from the planter on my balcony. A 65-inch screen showed old movies. We didn't talk about the past. The other people didn't call, text, or email, stumbling across each other at the grocery store. It was quiet all the time now. And T was glad for it and rested on the balcony. Rail as the sun goes down. Waves crashing below. You can't buy anything against the seawall. Sense of duty.